determined, dependable. This is News 10 ABC at noon.
We are following developing news out of Washington. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm News 10 ABC's Christina Arangio. News 10 ABC learning at this hour that the streets surrounding the Washington Navy Yard, the scene of the mass shooting yesterday, have been reopened. 12 innocent people were killed. 8 others were wounded when the gunman opened fire. The suspect was killed in a gun battle with police. At this point, authorities have still not found a motive for the shooting, but many new details are emerging about the suspect, 34-year-old Aaron Alexis, a defense contractor. Here's ABC's Tamon Bradley, live.
Hello from the Washington Naval Yard, where people have been coming and going all morning. The essential workers are back on the job. Across this city today, people have been taking a moment to remember the victims. Today at the Navy Memorial in downtown Washington, Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel and other top brass paid their respects to the victims of the shooting at Washington's Navy Yard. Among the 12 who died, 51-year-old Arthur Daniels, a grandfather of 9, and Kenneth Proctor, 46 years old, who worked for the government for 22 years. Authorities say 34-year-old Aaron Alexis, who was killed in a shootout with police, was behind the massacre. He was one of the Navy's own, a contractor with access to the Navy Yard and a former Navy reservist who received an honorable discharge. The VA is checking to see if the suspect had received treatment for psychological issues. Meanwhile, police are searching for a motive, going through this Toyota Prius, believed to be the suspect's rental car, and visiting a nearby Residence Inn where he'd been staying. The FBI also descended on his parents' home in Brooklyn.
And their hearts are going out more to the victims, the people that got hurt, because, you know, there's more lives lost, and we don't need that. You know?
Alexis has a history of disturbing behavior. He was arrested in 2010, accused of recklessly discharging a firearm into a neighbor's apartment. And in 2004, Alexis confessed to shooting out the tires of another man's car.
He strikes me as a guy that's been going downhill for probably a number of months, if not years. And he just couldn't take it anymore.
Sources say federal authorities continue to evaluate evidence, including the suspect's laptop. They're trying to get to a motive. Live in front of the Navy Yard, Tamon Bradley, ABC News.
Tamon, thanks so much. Continuing our coverage now on the tragic Navy Yard shooting, President Obama ordering flags to be lowered to honor the victims of the Navy Yard shooting. Following that shooting, he signed a proclamation that those flags be flown at half-staff through sunset on Friday. It applies to all public grounds, military posts, and Navy vessels, plus U.S. embassies and outposts overseas. And coming up later this hour, we will have much more on who the shooter is as investigators continue to figure out more about him. We'll have that for you, and you can depend on News 10 ABC to bring you the latest developments as the story continues to unfold. And we'll have more for you as well at 4 o'clock, beginning at 4. To other news now, new at noon. For the second time in less than 2 weeks, police say a home in Troy was shot at. The latest incident happening around 8 o'clock last night. Police tell us at least 6 bullets were fired at 151 Fifth Avenue. 4 of them went through a window, 2 right into the building. Authorities call it targeted, explaining that whomever is responsible is specifically going after the second-floor apartment. The first incident happened back on September 3rd, and we spoke with the family who lives there. We'll have reaction to the violence coming up at 4. Election officials in Saratoga County have started counting the absentee ballots in the Republican primary race for sheriff. The race between Michael Zerlo and Jeff Gildersleeve in Saratoga County only separated by a few hundred votes. Zerlo has already declared victory in the race, but Gildersleeve has not conceded. The Board of Elections say the counting could go through tomorrow. News 10 will bring you the latest results as soon as they become available. A Schenectady man accused in a deadly shooting was back in court this morning for a preliminary hearing. 28-year-old Emmanuel Martinez accused of shooting 2 people last month at a family gathering on Becker Street. One of the victims, 24-year-old Jose Torres, died from his injuries. Martinez was arraigned last week on multiple felony charges, including murder. He is currently being held without bail. Also set to appear in court today, Anthony Zambolo, charged with hindering the prosecution after police say he tipped off a suspect in a recent bank robbery. That suspect, Victor Shear, was arrested down in Myrtle Beach, North Carolina recently. Police say he is responsible for robbing the Trustco Bank in Slingerlands last month. Zambolo is scheduled to appear in Bethlehem Town Court for a preliminary hearing at 4 o'clock. A group of top New York and federal prosecutors scheduled to testify tonight at the first public hearing of the state's new anti-corruption commission. This is the first of several planned hearings to consider if additional laws and regulations are needed to address misconduct by public officials. Governor Cuomo created the Moreland Commission to investigate the public corruption back in July. Well, fathers and father figures took time out of their morning to head back to the classroom today. Today was Dad taking their children to school day. Lots of dads on hand with their children, starting the day at Delaware Community School with a welcome breakfast. Dad's Take Your Child to School Day started back in 2006. The Albany City School District joined schools statewide in this event in partnership with the New York State Fatherhood Initiative of the State Office of Children and Family Services and the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. Today may be about the dads, but it's really about getting all parents involved. Research shows that children who have parents more involved in the school day do better both academically and socially. Still to come after days of rain, floods, and washouts, Colorado finally seeing a little bit of relief in terms of the weather. Still ahead, a look at the massive cleanup now that has yet to begin. And engineers accomplished an historic feat, lifting the capsized Costa Concordia, making it upright again. More on what they plan to do now with that crippled ship. And later, why Prince Harry has locked himself inside a freezing cold chamber. We'll explain.
And it was very cold out there this morning. We're going to take a close look at how cold it got. Are we going to see some more frost tomorrow? And what about this warming trend we've been hearing about? All that and more after the break.